This is the Ielts listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.
Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a tax office employee and a woman who wants to apply for a tax number. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good morning, tax office. How can I help you?
I'd like to apply for a tax file number.
Are you a citizen?
No, but I'm told I still need a number.
So what is your residency status? Are you a permanent migrant, or perhaps a temporary visitor?
Oh, I'm a permanent migrant.
And you need a TFN?
A what?
A TFN. It stands for tax file number.
Yes, what is that exactly?
It's a unique number we issue to individuals and organizations to help administer tax collection and other government systems.
Why do I need one?
In actual fact, you don't.
What do you mean?
It's not compulsory, you know.
But I should get one?
Well, it's a good idea. Otherwise, you'll have more tax withheld from your wages or salary. In fact, you won't be eligible to participate in the PAYE, that's pay-as-you-earn system, and you couldn't apply for income support or other benefits. You wouldn't have to pay the Medicare levy, but then you wouldn't be entitled to claim Medicare benefits either.
I'd better have one then.
Okay. So you're currently living in this country, right?
Yes.
What kind of visa do you have? A working visa?
Well, I did have one because after my student visa expired, I went back home and worked for a year before applying for a job here. The job turned out to be permanent and full-time, and my employers wanted me to settle here. So now I have a permanent migrant visa.
Now, once you have a file number, you never need to reapply. Even if your circumstances change, for example, if you get married or decide to take an English name, they'll even use the same one when you retire and apply for a government pension.
I see.
Have you ever had a TFN before?
No.
Right. Let's get on with the application process now.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
What is your passport or travel document number?
Oh, just a moment. I have it here. JGW 1100536.
Where do you come from?
I came from Greece.
Is that your country of origin?
Yes, I came from Greece.
Are you Greek? Do you have a Greek passport?
No, I was born in Spain. I have a Spanish passport, but I've been living in Greece.
And where do you live now? Where will the department send your TFN?
That's 1339 Harbor Drive, Hollywell.
Postcode?
1517.
Thank you. Now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
By phone, you can ring my landline number. 0955775076. I'm sorry, I haven't got a cell phone at the moment.
I see. Can you give me the details of someone else we could contact if we can't get you during office hours?
That would be my landlady,
What's her name?
Martha Pierce.
Is that Pierce, Pierce?
No, it's Pearce.
And her number is?
The same as the one I gave you.
Yes, I've got that. Now, for some more personal details, what title do you use?
Excuse me?
Are you Mrs., Miss, or Ms.?
I'm not married. Put me down as Miss.
All right. What's your surname?
Farina.
What's your first name?
Maria.
Do you have a second or middle name?
Well, two, actually.
What are they?
Rosa Anna.
I'm guessing Farina is your maiden name, since you haven't been married. But are you known by any other names?
Farina is my only surname, but people call me Mary.
As a first name?
Yes.
When were you born, Mary? Can you give it to me in the following order? Day, month, and year?
The 15th of November, 1983.
You're obviously female, so that brings me to the last question, which I don't really need to ask.
What's that?
Your husband's name.
I don't have one.
I know, so I'll just write down N.A. for not applicable.
Thank you.
That is the end of Section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Section 2. You'll hear Diane Kelly, the admissions officer at Central City University, talking to a group of newly arrived international students. As you listen to the first part of the talk, answer questions 11 to 16. Before you listen, look at questions 11 to 16.
For those of you I haven't met, my name is Diane Kelly, the International Admissions Officer at Central University. Today I'm here to explain some of the student support services which you might like to access during your courses. The first thing I'd like to make clear is that you are all entitled to this help. All you need to do is ask for it. You have full access to all of the regular university facilities here and additional services set up exclusively for international students. These services are grouped under four main areas of responsibility: academic support, librarian services, administrative services, and those provided by the Students' Union. The staff in academic support services is qualified to assist you in course selection, content description, and explanation of assessment criteria for individual subjects. We also have an international student advisor who is there to help students from non-English speaking backgrounds. All of you have achieved the English requirements for entry to your particular courses, but it is possible at some stage that you will need language support. The International Student Advisor is there for that purpose. Be warned though, he is very busy at the end of semesters and he won't write your assignments for you. If you need assistance with general study skills, the International Student Advisor will probably direct you to our Library Services staff. Library Services is made up of three departments: Research and Resource, Study Skills, and the Student IT department. The Study Skills department is very active in promoting small learning and study groups. They will gladly help you to join one of these groups by matching your needs with other students. After you get your student cards, the Student IT department will arrange your email access and passwords for the university computers. You do need to have your student card first, so don't go there without it. Student cards are issued by administration officers in the Administration Student Services area. A lot of you are in homestay at present, but if you want to move into more independent style accommodation, see the housing officer at the administration building. Don't be too optimistic though. Good, cheap accommodation close to the university is in high demand. It can be found, but we advise you to see the accommodation officer early. We also have a student employment officer and, of course, the homestay officer whom you would have met already. The university bookshop, and most importantly our international department, is in the administration building, so make sure that you come and see us if you have any questions about your passports or visas. The student union is also very active and provides some great services. For example, if you have any personal or financial problems while you're here, the student union offers a student counselling service. You will need to make appointments to see a counsellor. If you feel that you're not being treated fairly by another student or lecturer or university staff member, you might like to access the Equal Opportunity Service offered by them. They also run various social and sporting clubs and activity programs which I'd encourage you to sign up for.
Before the final part of the talk, look at questions 17 to 20. Now you will hear the rest of the talk. Answer questions 17 to 20.
Obviously, you'll need to know where these services are. We're currently in the Grand Hall. Now, if you have a look on your campus map, the library services are of course in the library, which is over to my right, just between the outdoor sporting facilities and Hawkins Student Car Park. The Student Union building is also in that same direction, but it's in front of the car park. For those of you who will be travelling by bus, the university bus stop is just outside the library. The administration building is over to my left, between the International Centre and the post office. Most of you have been to visit us already. Even though the administration staff look after the bookshop, it's in the same building as the post office, just behind the student refectory. If you come to the administration building, we'll show you where it is anyway. All of the academic staff are found in their particular faculty buildings, which you'll get to know very well. The Career and International Student Advisors are in a small building behind the International Centre, in between the Engineering and the Arts block. It's really quite easy to find your way around the campus, and most staff and students are more than willing to give you directions. Now, we're just going to have a short break with some tea and biscuits at the back of the hall. So, if you'd like to stand up and come down.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Section 3. You will hear a conversation between two students in the Education Department who are discussing their first assignment. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 28. Listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 28.
Hey, Ted, what are we going to do about this assignment?
Well, Cleo, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Oh?
Yeah. The topic is, why study abroad? I suggest we do a survey of international students, collate the responses, make a graph, and exhibit our findings in the form of a poster.
Wow, you have given this some thought, haven't you?
Of course. This is only the first assignment. There will be a lot more to come. So let's get this one out of the way quickly.
Well, how do we do the survey?
I think we need to find a good selection of foreign students.
So, how about we go over to the English language school at lunchtime and talk to some of the students there?
That's not a bad idea. But we shouldn't limit ourselves to that department.
Why not?
Well, think about it. They'll all give the same reason, to learn English.
Of course, you're right. Well, one of us could cover the language school, and the other could go around the business school.
Yes, I know there are a lot of internationals there, too. But I think a random sample from foreign students on campus might give us a better range of answers.
What are we going to ask them? Why are you studying abroad?
An open question like that could mean we get hundreds of different responses. It would be better if we made up, say, 10 reasons and asked each respondent to place them in order of importance.
You're right. That would certainly make collation easier. Any ideas about what these 10 reasons might be?
Sure. I've got enough foreign friends to know quite a lot about what motivates them.
Okay. Number 1 is...
I think that's obvious. How about study abroad is the best way to learn a language? And number 2 is obvious as well.
I know. Study abroad gives you the chance to travel.
What's third?
It's either culture or friendship.
Okay, let's go for culture. Study abroad gives you first-hand experience of a different culture.
Not just that, but it gives you new experiences as well. Not all of them are good, but it's meeting those challenges and adapting to new situations and solving problems and so on.
Let's make that a separate reason. How about study abroad, will compel you to develop new skills?
Sounds good. Then study abroad promotes international friendship.
What are we up to now?
Wait, that was number 5.
Do you think learning about yourself is the same as developing new skills?
No, I think it's quite different. Probably more closely related to culture. You really mean embracing new concepts and perceptions, don't you?
Yes, and reconsidering one's own beliefs and values, or at least seeing them through new eyes.
We could make the next one and call it something like, Study abroad provides the opportunity to learn about yourself.
We ought to throw in a few about study and work, because I'm sure that rates highly with many foreign students.
Of course. Study abroad gives you the opportunity to expand your academic,
Academic what? Let's simplify it. Make it the opportunity to study different subjects.
Yes, good. It can also enhance the value of your degree.
How's that?
Well, I think you can take courses you would never have had the opportunity to take on your home campus, and employers will know also that your language skills have been given quite a boost.
Isn't that the same as number 7?
No, I think it's a separate issue.
All right, keep it. Now, I think this next one is more important.
Shall I change the order?
No need. The students are going to rank them according to their views.
So what is it?
Study abroad enhances employment opportunities.
Ugh, why didn't I think of that? Anyway, there's one even more obvious than that.
Let me guess. Study abroad broadens your mind?
Exactly.
Okay. Now we have 10. Let's print off 100 questionnaires and go and do the survey.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 29 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 29 to 30.
Did you hear about the National Geographic survey of American students between the ages of 18 and 24?
Yes, it sounds as if they could benefit from study abroad. Did you know that only 1% of U.S. students currently study abroad? Anyway, back to that National Geographic survey. It was carried out internationally, and it was Sweden that came out on top.
It's really amazing, isn't it? When given a map of the world, only 13% of American students were able to find Iraq, and the same for Iran.
I know, and not surprisingly, I suppose, Afghanistan didn't fare much better. 83% couldn't locate it on the map. There must be something about that region. 76% couldn't identify Saudi Arabia either.
But Asia didn't come off much better. Over half the students couldn't find Japan on the map. But do you know what's really incredible?
Yes, I do. 11% of them couldn't even find their own country.
It's no wonder the USA scored near the bottom, only 2 points above Mexico, which was ranked last.
That is the end of Section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Section 4. You will hear a lecture being given by a university professor to first-year students about the examination period. First, look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen to the lecture and answer questions 31 to 40.
Welcome to our examinations workshop. This is an annual event which we've found very helpful for first-year students like yourselves, and I hope that this year will be no exception. By now, you'll all have realized that studying at university is quite different to studying at school. Some of you might have been shocked at one time or another during the semester when you received results for your assignments that weren't as high as you'd expected. I trust that you've spoken to your lecturers and tutors and sorted out those issues. The truth is that the transition from school to university can be a difficult one. The academic standards are higher, and of course, there is considerably less supervision at university, and it's incumbent on the students to follow their own study regime. My aim today, though, is to help you to learn how to cope with the impending exam period by giving you some practical strategies to take with you into the exam. We've all known students who've had a good understanding of the subject material, yet failed exams or performed well below expectations. Likewise, we've known students that have, to all intents and purposes, done very little work and passed with flying colors. Often, these results can be put down to one thing: stress or a lack of it. Don't underestimate the importance that stress plays in exam performance. With any exam, you should front up feeling confident, relaxed, and organized. Rightly or wrongly, exams, in effect, not only test your academic ability, they test your frame of mind and your ability to perform under pressure. Stress has to be managed on two fronts: the physiological and the psychological. We all recognize that stress affects us physically. I'm sure you've all experienced an increased pulse, or sweaty hands or underarms, or shortness of breath when placed in a stressful situation. Sleeplessness can also be a problem around exam time. The most effective way to manage these physiological reactions is through controlled breathing, which we'll practice later. By controlling or regulating your breathing, you'll find that you can put yourself rather effectively into a relaxed state. Psychologically, stress affects the way you think. For an exam, You need to think rationally, and this is why you need to be confident and organized before walking into the exam. Continuing to think rationally after you read an exam paper which you know nothing about is very hard to do. But if you are organized and you've put in the time needed to learn the subject material, you will have the self-control you need to think rationally. Stress can make you panic, the worst thing you can do in an exam. Look at the question calmly and rationally dissect the question. And let's face it, even if you haven't prepared well enough, you'll still need to think rationally in order to do your best under those very trying circumstances. Just while I think of it, this is probably a good time to tell you a piece of advice that I give first-year students that come to see me. Don't rely on what other students tell you about the time they allocate to study. The reports we have had over the years have been ridiculously overestimated and underestimated. Follow your own study regime and don't listen to others. We're all different, so it stands to reason that the time we need to allocate to study will be different. Generally speaking, for every hour of lectures you attend, you will need another hour of follow-up or research work if you want to achieve good grades. Right, so where was I? We have to learn how to control our breathing, and we need to have enough confidence in our ability to be able to think rationally. Time management is another important factor that can make or break you in an exam situation. After you have gone through the breathing exercises, which you'll be familiar with, read over the entire exam, noting the different marks and weighting of questions. Only after you have done this can you allocate your own time to each question. If I had $1 for every time a student has told me that they didn't do as well in an exam as they'd hoped because they'd run out of time, I'd be rich. If you can manage your time properly in an exam, you will reduce the amount of pressure that you're under. Anyway, note the different questions and their marks and allocate your time accordingly, as I said. Then, answer the questions that you know first. This serves to relax you further and gives you the confidence you might need to tackle the more difficult questions. However, don't spend too much time on the easy questions either. Always be mindful of the time restraint and the marks that are assigned to the question. In summary, to do well in an exam, you not only need the academic ability, you need to be in a relaxed state of mind with the ability to think clearly enough under pressure to allocate suitable time frames to questions. If you can equip yourself with these skills and train yourself to observe time management, exam success is almost guaranteed. We'll be holding a study skills workshop next week in the Language and Learning Center to deal with ways in which you can study effectively for exams. You are all welcome, of course. Right, now, are you ready to learn some controlled breathing exercises?
That is the end of section 4 and the end of the listening test. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Like, share, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon for further updates.